Evil, known in Japan as Biohazard, is a Japanese horror game series and media franchise created by Capcom. Horror, third-person shooter, and first-person shooter games, with players typically surviving in environments filled with zombies and other creatures. Resident Evil is the highest-grossing horror franchise. In this video, I will talk about the history of the game Resident Evil from the first series, which was from 1996, to the last series, which is 2022.
Hey, wait.
Resident Evil is a 1996 survival horror video game developed and published by Capcom originally for the PlayStation. Resident Evil was praised for its graphics, gameplay, sound, and atmosphere, although it received criticism for its voice acting. It was an international bestseller and became the best-selling PlayStation game ever at the time. By December 1997, it had sold about 4 million copies worldwide and had grossed more than $200 million.
What is this? What could have done this?
Resident Evil 2 is a 1998 survival horror video game developed and published by Capcom for the PlayStation. The player controls Leon S. Kennedy and Claire Redfield, who must escape Raccoon City after its citizens are transformed into zombies by a biological weapon 2 months after the events of the original Resident Evil. The gameplay focuses on exploration, puzzles, and combat. The main difference from its predecessor are the branching paths, with each player character having unique storylines, partners, and obstacles. Resident Evil 3: Nemesis is a 1999 survival horror video game developed and published by Capcom originally for the PlayStation. It is the third game in the Resident Evil series and takes place almost concurrently with the events of Resident Evil 2. The player must control former Elite Agent Jill Valentine as she escapes from a city that has been infected by a virus. The game uses the same engine as its predecessors and features 3D models over pre-rendered backgrounds with fixed camera angles. Choices through the game affect how the story unfolds and which ending is achieved. It is a major installment in the Resident Evil series and was announced in 2005, the same year its predecessor Resident Evil 4 was released. Resident Evil 5 was released for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 consoles in March 2009 and for Microsoft Windows in September that year. The plot involves an investigation of a terrorist threat by Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance agents Chris Redfield and Shiva Alomar in Kajuju, a fictional region of West Africa. Chris learns that he must confront his past in the form of an old enemy, Albert Wesker, and his former partner, Jill Valentine. A major installment in the Resident Evil series, Resident Evil 6 was released for the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 in October 2012 and for Windows in March 2013. Players control Leon S. Kennedy, Chris Redfield, Jake Muller, and Ada Wong as they confront the force behind a worldwide bioterrorist attack. The story is centered around their 4 interwoven campaigns, and every campaign features a unique style in both tone and gameplay. It is the sequel to Resident Evil 7, Biohazard. Players control Ethan Winters, who searches for his kidnapped daughter in a village filled with mutant creatures. The village maintains survival horror elements from previous Resident Evil games, with players scavenging environments for items and managing resources. However, it adds more action-oriented gameplay, with higher enemy counts and a greater emphasis on combat.